Roger, go for deploy.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back to Adventure Fit Radio. This time, tuning in for part 2 of the great man Khan Porter himself. I think you guys, if you haven't already, you'll get like Bill said last week, a really good scope of the Khan Porter that you may not know, the Khan Porter that's slightly different from the social media, and probably the Khan Porter that he would like you guys to know as well. Is that sort of what you found out when we were talking to him, Bill?
I was just checking my phone.
I know. I just thought I'd bring you straight back into it.
I have no idea what you really said, but
did you feel like?
Yeah. What I will say, I can answer the question.
Okay, yeah.
Even though
yes,
I don't know what
2
it was.
+ 2 is 6.
Yeah, no, I had a great time with Khan.
He's a good man, isn't he?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a good life chat more than anything.
Yep.
We don't probably delve into the how he trains, the what he eats, although we did touch on it all.
Vaguely, yeah.
It's more about the person that he is, his thoughts, his beliefs, and me and Tommy get pretty animated and pretty up and about through it too. And it's just a good insight into the life of an athlete and the mind of a normal person.
Yep, definitely.
Really?
He's the biggest thing I got from him is he's totally a normal dude with his own worries, insecurities, and ups and downs as well.
Yeah. So Audible, guys, you hear us talk about it every week. So if you want to check out audio books and you want to start taking in all your information while you're doing other things, then I highly recommend it. And check out audibletrial.com/ADVF radio. That's where you'll get a 30-day free trial. You'll also get 1 free audio book in your first month. And then after that, if you subscribe, if you become a member, then you'll pay a small fee and you'll get 1 book credit a month. It's really a sublime service. Over the last 2 months, I said this the other day, but I've increased my count. Over the last 2 months, I've read How to Win Friends and Influence People. Got 2 new mates from that. Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
What do you mean you got 2 new mates from that?
$20. Huh?
Did you actually get 2 new mates from that?
Yeah, I got 2 new mates.
Like, what are their names?
Doug and Carl. Marching Powder, Animal Farm, A Bulletproof Diet, E-Myth Revisited, and Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, which I'm actually only halfway through. But that's a lot of books, guys. I've taken all that in the last couple of months, and it's great. I feel like I'm getting smarter on the fly.
Well, I just had a look at your Facebook, and there is no Doug or Carl on there, mate. So
They're not
I don't
on
know.
Facebook, mate.
Oh, yeah, okay.
They're not on Facebook.
MySpace.
So, also, we're brought to you by MySpace.
Yeah.
We're brought to you by Adventure Fit Travel. So, Adventure Fit Travel, guys, we've got an Everest Base Camp trek coming up. That's this September through to October. It's just a beautiful 15-day trek through the Khumbu region. Finalising at Everest Base Camp, you'll check out the Khumbu Glacier. You'll check out Namche Bazaar, real cool little town on the Everest Base Camp trek. And you'll just have lots of time to contemplate, make new friends, and see one of the most beautiful regions in the world. So if you want any more details on that, check out www.adventurefittravel.com.
Is Doug and Carl, are they jumping on the track?
Doug and Carl aren't going to be on the trip. No, they can't make it.
What was Doug doing?
They're busy. They've got busy. They're busy from something. I think.
Isn't Doug?
They're sick. I think
Doug's a vet.
No, they're sick.
Oh, they're sick.
They're sick.
They'll be sick.
They're dog sick. Yeah,
dog sick.
They're a vet and they're dog sick. That's right. So they've got to fix their dog. Anyway, guys, here's the show. Alrighty, so Khan, how do you make a living as a CrossFit athlete? And a lot of the guys, and you can use examples of friends of yours, guys that are treating it like a professional athlete. You know, how do you make ends meet? It's a lot of work. The workload is very large, taking up a large portion of your time. You know, how do you make ends meet? You've got the gym, you've got sponsors.
I actually masturbate to pixelated porn while creepy gentlemen watch
And
me.
you actually get paid for
Yeah,
that?
they pay me. Creepy gentlemen pay me to play. No.
It's 4 p.m.
No, I actually. So I think we kind of alluded to this earlier on. I have an online coaching program, which is where I make some of my income from. I work with people all over the world. It's awesome. Programming is probably the part of CrossFit and just functional fitness in general that I love the most. It's like putting together a piece of a puzzle. And I was sort of saying in my own training, I feel like I've found this kind of formula that works. There's like 3 things that you can train and you can always sort of work one or the other. And it's kind of a hierarchy of how I would train those 3 things. You know, it starts with skill acquisition and blah, 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 blah. And this whole kind of systemized approach that I've developed, which is now replicable through programming for other people, and like I love that. I love doing that, and I guess that's where like doing things like seminars and stuff when I talk about that in the future is something that I'm going to hopefully do. But so that makes some money. I'm also very lucky that I do have a good following on social media. I have an agent. She's phenomenal. She actually works predominantly, she doesn't work with any other CrossFitters, put it that way. She works predominantly in like mainstream media and stuff like that. And I do like work with brands, do campaigns and stuff. I shot a campaign for Microsoft recently they've got these like activewear bands and stuff like that. So I don't really know what you would call that, but that's kind of where most of my money comes from. Like, and whether it's stuff that I share or I just shoot a campaign for them. So for instance, Far Cry, the game, I shot that campaign for Ubisoft. It was worth a decent chunk of money, and it involved, shooting a thing for them, and they put it in X magazine, Y magazine. They did it in, newspapers and stuff like that. So that's kind of, I guess those two sort of different avenues are my main sources of income. But that said, and I think I put up a post with the Microsoft thing, I'm actually because I do understand that there is such a huge degree of bullshit out there in social media, I won't work with brands in a purely kind of promotional sense that I don't genuinely use. You guys can see I have my PlayStation right there and my games. I play PlayStation. My band's just there, the Microsoft one, and I've been using that like for pretty much 90% of my workouts that are just endurance based. I've had plenty of companies approach me. Like one that wanted me to, post about drinking this shit tea. Or I don't know if it's shit's probably good, but I don't drink tea. I'm not going to drink this fucking tea that makes me do whatever, help me burn fat and whatever like that. Fuck, like that's not me at all. Like
you don't screw your followers over by promoting stuff that you don't actually use yourself.
And if I did, I'd say like, this is and I'm fuck, people aren't idiots. I mean, nothing shits me more than when you look at someone on social media and they're blatantly plugging something and treating their followers like idiots. Like, as if you don't know that I'm being paid to do this, and I probably don't actually fucking give a shit about whatever. But that, and then I just odd thing, like things just pop up here and there, like seminars, workshops. I might, go and do a talk somewhere. Fuck, I went and did a talk at the Australian Defence Force Academy a few weeks ago. At there, like had one of the squadrons down there had a this formal dining thing, and that was an experience. I'd never eaten so properly in my life. I had to be like instructed on how I was meant to eat and all these things. And I'm just sitting, fuck. But I mean, that was cool. Like you see the plaques just there, like that was cool. I got to stand up, and it was actually mostly talking about things like, the mental health and raising awareness and stuff like that. But
did you get a taste of what it was like in the Australian Defence Force, if it's spoken about much, mental health?
Yes and no. I think that's why they had me down there. So it's obviously something they're trying to raise more awareness of. But it was a really interesting experience. These guys and girls were at the academy. They're sort of 18, 19-year-old kids and you could just kind of look around the room and you could see them kind of all smirking to each other and stuff like that. And you can just see that particularly with that age group, they don't have that life experience. They've probably never experienced it close to home that much yet. It's something that genuinely manifests itself in the early to mid-20s, particularly in men. And it's this hyper-masculine sort of culture. But the residing sentiment at the end of it was that people did appreciate that conversation being talked about, particularly the older members and the members of staff. Definitely. I think it's definitely something that's being, they wouldn't have had me there if it wasn't something. And I know the guy that they'd had that morning was an Olympian, an openly gay Olympian. And so they're doing things to try and raise awareness of that as well. Like I'm also a huge ambassador, campaigner for equality of, like marriage equality and equal rights and getting rid of the stigma around like homophobia and stuff like that. I think, there's nothing shit. Like I think homophobia is one of the stupidest concepts. Morgan Freeman, your man, said it perfectly. There's no such thing as homophobia. You're just an asshole. If I'm fucking afraid of two people that are genuinely in love, if they are two men or two women, it's such a fucking
don't you think
redundant concept?
Purely because it's not the majority.
Yeah, but these things are becoming more openly accepted in these bigger, obviously, as I said, like hyper-masculine sort of institutions.
One of my mates knocked it on the head really well the other day. One of my best mates, Matt Roy, he said that we were talking about gay marriage and the fact that fucking Australia's leaders are fucking still opposed to it to some degree.
Yeah.
And he said Royce said to me, he goes, don't you think this is one of those stages in life where in 25 years' time, you're going to look back, or 30 years' time, whatever, and you're going to go, what the fuck was everybody thinking?
100%.
It's the exact same as
25 years ago, you could sell a black dude to another dude to work on your farm.
No shit.
And
That's-
how the fuck is that even
yeah.
justifiable now?
It's the exact same.
thing, isn't it?
It's
We were
anyway,
having this talk on a slightly different tangent about technology today. But I mean, things progress so fast. He was just saying how Siri today is like a piece of shit. But in 25 years, I'm just so excited. 25 years, Siri's going to be like, hey, do you want me to cook scrambled eggs for you? And, all this sort of thing.
Well,
It's gonna
how
be
funny!
on-
I'm a huge fan of Joe Rogan's. And I actually just listened to his podcast with
Sam Harris.
Boom.
Yeah, and they were talking.
sick,
well, not-
wasn't it?
Sam Harris's was good, but I was listening to one. Oh, fuck, who was he talking to? I actually got his book. I just bought a book of the guy.
Is this about the AI? The
Yeah, and he's
artificial
talking
intelligence?
about that. So it was. The book is called Sex at
Oh!
Dawn with Christopher Ryan.
Christopher Ryan is the man.
Oh, bro. And you
He's
should hear
sick.
them talking about like these AI sex robots and stuff. Like, it's fucking hilarious. This
Well-
book is fascinating, though. I mean, I'm
I've
a
got
big
that
fan
on
of
my,
sex, and this is a great book that kind
I've
of
got
talks
that
about
on my
modern
Audible
sexuality.
ready to go.
Yeah, it's,
I wonder in
it's
25
awesome.
years' time, we'll be talking about
Well, you'll
sex
be asking
quality for
Siri to
robots.
come in wearing that favourite set of bra and undies that she's got. And,
Siri,
you know,
put the Jabba the Hutt costume on, please.
you'll be able, but this
I love
is the
it, I
thing,
love
you'll
it,
be
I
able
love
to
it.
live out all these weird and sort of awkward fantasies when you come in. Siri,
What
put
about
Jabba the
virtual
Hutt on.
reality? Virtual reality is going to be the weirdest one.
Yeah.
'Cause virtual reality is nearly here. Virtual reality, Brazzers is already working on virtual reality porn. Going back to
And
porn.
when we're going back to porn and we're going back to we've got our high-speed internet. We've got
hit
Brazzers
it.
virtual
We've hit
reality.
tangents 1, 2, and
Shut
3.
the front gate. You have just won so many more listeners to this podcast. They're just like, fuck yes. Tell us more.
We've won all our demographic.
Yeah.
We were talking about this the other day. We need to work out our demographic. It's
Yeah,
us.
that's
Well,
right.
you've just niched yourself perfectly.
100%.
Fat guys sitting at their computer, sweating with these creepy
Stonewood.
grins.
All right, so finances. This is what we were talking about.
Yes.
So for CrossFitters, people out there in the fitness industry trying to survive when they're training so much and so forth, what advice do you have? Because you do it pretty well. What advice do you have to make a brand of yourself?
I think don't force it. Like the more. One of the big things that I learned before I even started, people respond to authenticity because we don't go on social media to be advertised to. If you are your authentic self and you show people things, there's posts that I put up there where I talk about, not having a good day and stuff like that. I talk about being passionate about things. I talk about feeling like shit. The more real you can be as a person, the more people are going to relate to you, and the more you can say, like, give to people of yourself, the easier it's going to be for you to become, I guess, a brand. The other thing is, like, I don't think I necessarily set out to become a brand. I just figured that if I was going to broadcast myself to the world through social media, which is what we all do to an extent, make sure you're saying something of value. Like, if what you're saying has no value, then why the fuck does anyone want to listen to it? Like, if you can't give value in what you've got to tell to people, and whether that value is something as simple as someone who might have a smile and a laugh because you're there in your Speedos and carrying on like a pork chop, or whether that person can sit there and go, like, I've put up posts before about things to do with mental health or like nothing good, and some of the messages, and this is by far the most rewarding part of being an athlete, some of the things that people have then shared with me, like private messaged me and stuff like that beforehand, has genuinely brought me to tears because there are people going through shit all over the world, just like you, just like me, just like anyone else, and we have this incredible vehicle to communicate with those people. And when you use your social, like things like that, to have those conversations and communicate with people in an authentic and genuine way that's designed to add value to their lives in whatever way, then people will respond to that. If all you do is they're going, come into my gym and I'll give you 2 PT sessions for the price of 1, or something like that, you're just going to look like people get over that pretty quick, smart, and people start to switch off. They're not engaged.
Definitely.
For sure. So what about what's next for you, Khan? Like, you're building this brand that we spoke before how you want to be able to program for people. You want to build your online programming up so that you can travel a little more. Like, what have you got left in CrossFit?
Is this your last year?
I said at the start of the year I was going through a bit of a particularly bit of a lull, I guess mentally and physically. I was banged up still, nursing these injuries, and just felt like I was never going to get back to where I was. And I was just sick of trying. And like, as I said, I was just overtraining. And I guess now that I'm enjoying training again, I'm just going to train. That's just how I'm going to train from now on. If the open rolls round and I do the open and I come 6th and I can go to regionals and I've had a blast in the lead up to it and I haven't changed that enjoyment factor, fuck, I may as well go. Like, even if I can, but then it's going to be going there to have a blast at regionals, not being like, okay, I have to go and I have to make the CrossFit Games and I come 6th. If I come 6th by 1 point, just miss out on going, well, cool. I've had 12 months of training when I feel like training, doing what I feel like doing, traveling as much as I can, getting my, putting my finger in the pie of these different business ventures and stuff like that, talking to people, meeting people, expanding my horizons as a human being. And if through all of that I'm still able to compete, then of course I'll still compete. I love it. It's like I said, it's a privilege to be out there, getting to do something, getting to represent your country and yourself on the global scale. And like I have but I just guess my shift in focus is from a purely mental perspective. I'm not going to base my next 12 months around trying to compete. Yeah, my next 12 months is not going to be based around trying to compete at the CrossFit Games.
Yep.
Put it that way. If I go back to the CrossFit Games, happy days.
Yep.
I'm still going to train hard. I love it. There's like I said, there's days where if I feel good, I'll train 4 times that day, and I'll have an awesome day, and then afterwards I'll feel great. But there's other times where if I don't feel great, I'm not going to be like, well, fuck, can't you've got to go and go into the gym, grind through it. Your knees are hurting, but you've got to do squats because you have to have strong legs or you're fucked.
Do you know, that just made me think of something? I'm reading a book about mindfulness right now. And one of the biggest things it's actually Bill's book that I've just taken. And one of the biggest things they talk about is just habit releasing. So we're all in these sort of subconscious habits that we don't even know we do. And the biggest thing that I've found I sort of got into it a couple of years ago, but little things like, I may sit over there on a chair and, just say, I'm just going to sit on this side. And it just helps with. So I used to have that big thing as well. It's like, oh, fuck, I didn't train exactly the way the program's written today. I'm like freaking out now and I didn't hit that number or whatever. But all these things now, it's just sort of helping with like, oh, who cares? It doesn't matter. I feel so much better for it.
Nothing's ever the end of the world.
It's never the end of the world. And just doing those little habit releases,
It's a pretty kind of like, again, I was listening to Joe Rogan's podcast, his recent one with Russell Brand, and I mean, I'm a huge fan of both Joe and Russell, so it's awesome. And they were talking about like that this is big stint on happiness and how happiness is basically like, doing what makes you happy is intrinsic to you, and it comes from doing like that habit release. If you go, I don't want to do this because it makes me feel unhappy, it makes me feel like shitty, like then don't do it. However, like that's all well and good, but then there are times and then the thing is as well, and I talk about this in my seminars, half of it is kind of on mindset and stuff. There's always going to be situations in life that arise that make you feel uncomfortable and unhappy, but you just have to kind of accept that. And I think there's so much that goes into being a top level CrossFit athlete that means you have to accept that. If you can't walk into the gym and think about like the shittest you've ever felt after a workout, if you can't walk into the gym and make yourself feel that way every now and again on your own, of your own volition, and just be like completely at peace with that, then like you're never going to make it.
That's
really.
Right. You're never
that's what
going to move
separates
forward.
the good from the great. I don't think I'm necessarily the most athletically gifted guy in CrossFit, in any sport, but particularly in CrossFit. There are so many athletes out there, I think, that are on paper better athletes than me. But I am so at peace with being uncomfortable because of all the different issues I've had mentally that have put me in these like constant states of discomfort for great periods of time, physical and just purely mental and emotional. That sometimes it's actually kind of just nice when you just feel so shitty doing a workout. That's all you're really thinking about. Like, I'm in so much pain right now. I'm so out of breath. I'm just going to keep going though. There's this kind of blissful, almost zen-like quality to that feeling of just complete chaos physically. That if you can make peace with that and furthermore put yourself in that situation, I'm not saying do it every day because it sucks, but just be able to do that. Like that's a huge thing as well that goes for, like going training. And I'll continue to do that because like I said, sometimes that's just nice.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
I think there's
cool.
a lot of, I think CrossFit, number one, but sport in a general sense is a great application, like you said, to that for life, because it, life will give you that shit all the time. It's kind of like, oh fuck, I've just got to cop this, and I'm going to become a better person for it.
So
does weightlifting give you that, Bill?
Yeah, I mean, I actually had the similar experience where obviously you don't go through long periods of grinding pain when you're a weightlifter, but I had an example last week, or I think I had a 3-week period where I just really was struggling. Mentally, didn't want to step foot through the door.
Yep.
When I was in the gym, couldn't be fucked with my next set, so on and so forth. And my mate, Dan, came up to me and he's like, hey, man, how you going? He's one of my real close mates in the gym. And I said, I don't want to be here, man. I don't want to be here. And he was like, good. And I went, yeah, it's good. I'm here.
Yeah.
It's cool. And I got the sessions done and then I didn't miss a training session, which was cool. I was in there, I was doing the work. If I wanted to rest, then I really would have, but I got through it. And then I came and trained on Monday, and it was like a ton of bricks had been lifted off me. My body felt great. I was moving perfectly. I was like, wow, this is, I think if you push through that pain, you'll always get to the good stuff.
100%.
And yeah, I mean, yeah, it's all part of it. You've got to go through the shit to get to the good. But, so, Khan, do you have that kind of same mindset with your training, and are you flexible with your diet and stuff? How do you work that? I mean, you take it pretty seriously. Like, what do you eat?
Nah, man, I just kind of eat what I want to. Like, it's improved to an extent. Like, I think the less limitations I place on myself, the more I gravitate towards eating better anyway.
Yeah.
Because I just feel better. Like, if I'm there and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to eat any grain, and I'm not going to eat any sugar, and I'm not going to eat any this, and this. I go like 2 days, I'm like, this is fucked. I'm just going to go eat burgers and shit. But if I'm like, okay, tonight I feel like a pizza, I will go and have that. And I don't even have that thought process anymore.
Yeah.
Because I'm so used to my diet. If I want to eat whatever I want to eat right now, I'll have a beer and then go and do a session this afternoon. That's fine. I'll go, I just eat what I want. And I think that therefore, because I have that flexible and chilled approach, I make decent choices anyway when it comes to food.
I'm sure you eat pretty well by and large anyway, I would say, without having to think about too much. I mean, you can't, tell me if I'm wrong, but you can't train at a real high level without eating a good amount of protein, a good amount of carbs, and a good amount of fat. You know what I mean?
I definitely indulge probably more than your average CrossFitter.
Yeah.
Like, I'll drink,
I can see that, mate.
Multiple times.
Drink a beer.
Just for everyone at home, Khan's on his 17th beer right now.
And holding it together
He's holding it very well. Yeah.
But yeah, like I drink that. I've got corn chips over there that I'll probably snack on all afternoon. I fucking love Mission corn chips. There's another brand that does not sponsor me in any way, shape, or form.
Hashtag Mission corn chips.
Really should get around me. Yeah. Them and Stone and Wood. Come on, guys.
Yeah,
I don't even know if Mission exists in Australia. It's an Australian company. I know Stone and Wood is, so I know you're listening.
Come on, Stone and Wood.
But yeah,
Help us help you.
Yeah, exactly right. It just will help me get drunk.
Yeah.
Either or. But I love food, and I've effectively lived this kind of bachelor lifestyle for a few years now, where I basically eat out every meal. I don't really like cooking, so I know that my dinner every night is going to be at a restaurant or a cafe or something or takeaway.
Fuck, that's sick.
That's sick.
I wish I had the cash to do that.
Yeah.
100% I'd do it every day, but I can't.
Yeah, well, you start to learn to make better choices. I'm actually this is kind of the first time in my life, I mean, since maybe like last year, it kind of start of last year, I've actually had money to do. Like, I don't have to, the games has been a big expense. Like, this year's games has been a decent expense. But by and large, throughout the majority of the year, I actually am able to just go and like eat where I want to eat and stuff like that. And it's actually a really lovely change in, going from scraping by on $500 a week and eating tuna and rice multiple times a week. But yeah, also what I had for dinner last night. I went and had Greek food for dinner last night. So,
very good.
like
Do you want
pita
to give a
bread.
shout out to the restaurant?
Oh, they're actually a good restaurant.
Free meal next week.
Yeah. Hashtag Greek food.
We're hashtagging the shit out of
Greek
stuff
food.
You're going to get something in the mail, I reckon. You've hashtagged enough stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like, fuck, I better. Here we go. Stone and Wood's my main one. We'll just keep harping on about them. Stone and Wood. But yeah, no, I don't know. Like, I think, and I like the ritual of going to like, these little rituals and stuff like that as well. A nice little checkouts for me. Like the ritual of going to a cafe for breakfast and having a coffee, and I'm sitting down and I'm centered in like one piece, like I'm not running around all over the place, and that kind of little ritual, and that's where it all started. Was just I'd go out for breakfast every day, and then I was like, all right, well, I'm not cooking dinner because I was getting home late. So these little rituals that we build, and whether it's like even now if I go out to dinner like with my chick, and like it's just like we even spoke about that. We went to dinner the other night. And she was like saying, it was something about, eating at home or, when I don't know how the conversation came up. But it's actually kind of nice. We go out to dinner every night because I don't cook, because it forces us to sit at a table and converse. Like, have a conversation,
Absolutely.
actually get to know people like
Rather than sit in front of the television.
Yeah,
like on your
completely.
own couch.
Dumb down.
Yeah.
But like, those little rituals. The other one is going to the movies. I go to the movies like once, if not twice a week.
I fucking
On
love
my
the movies,
own.
man.
It's that good.
What have you
Oh.
seen lately that's good?
Seen The Conjuring 2?
Yeah, seen The Conjuring
What
2.
do you think?
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
It was obviously like, I didn't think it was like
Super
gut-wrenchingly scary,
No, neither.
but I love scary movies. So I went and saw that with a few friends, and I saw that. The Hunt for the Wilder People, that was
Oh, yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah, I've heard
Brilliant
that's
film.
good.
What else have I seen recently?
You seen Dory?
No, I haven't seen Dory. I
I
saw
booked in this week with my missus. She's been bugging the shit out of me. I haven't gone yet. We're not actually booked in,
guarantee
but
it's going to be shitter than Nemo.
Yeah, someone told
Nemo was
I've heard
fucking
that.
good. But
I've
it's
heard
like
it's shit.
Yeah, I've heard it's real
It's
shit.
like with the Toy Stories and stuff, or like Anchorman and fucking
Yeah.
whatever. If the first is a 10 out of 10, then even if the second's like a 6, you're going to fucking enjoy it.
Oh, yeah.
It was like Anchorman 2 for me. I'm like, that movie was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
It wasn't that funny,
Yeah.
but it was fucking good to see the boys on screen.
Yes,
that's right,
that's
yeah.
true.
Like catching up
Just
with
get
old mates,
Brick
you
back
know?
in, Bricks back in action. I was like, oh, he's
Yeah.
Entourage is a good example.
Entourage. Oh,
That
do you know,
movie
a
fucking
good example of a sequel that's like way better than the original is The Godfather. You guys seen
I
The
wouldn't
Godfather?
say way better.
Oh, mate.
It's a fucking good
it's
movie,
good.
but
I was around it.
the first movie is pretty much top
Best
3
movie of
movies of all time. Yeah.
yeah.
the first.
Number 2 is
I haven't
sick,
even
though.
seen it, so-
The flashbacks, the flashbacks in number 2, that's what make it.
Yeah, that's right.
With Robert Downey Jr., Robert De Niro.
There's a
Robert
few movies.
Robert
like
Downey
that,
Jr.
but they're
dressed as
few
Robert
and
De
far
Niro.
between where the sequel's better than the first.
Yeah.
Usually it's like ones with heaps of CGI where the technology gets better and you're like, oh, it looks realer
sick.
now. This is
Yeah.
sick. But
Tell you what I went to the other day, which was rad, was the Jurassic Park exhibition in Melbourne Museum.
I heard it was terrible.
No, it's
one of my
sick.
good mates,
It's
Ricky, went down
sick,
there. He
mate.
fucking loves Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
I
Mate,
could read you the text. He
I
was
fucking-
so pissed.
I was all over it. It was about, the only problem was it was like
Where was it?
3 Melbourne Museum, like the
Oh.
Museum of Melbourne, whatever it's called.
right, okay.
There was like 3 rooms
had a
about the
museum.
size of this room here, which had the actual dinosaurs. And there was like 3 dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, oh, I can't wait to see what's next. And then you're out and it's finished.
Was the
so
music
that
there?
was a major bummer. But fuck,
That's
man.
what I think he was all about. Was it was
Yeah.
just very small.
But it
Yeah.
was sick. Like my missus, you know, when you go in and you're like in a museum and they have whatever the exhibition is, and they have a little stand that'll have the write up about something. They'll have something on the wall, whatever. My missus is kind of dragging me through these rooms at a good pace, at a reasonable pace, and I'm staying. I haven't finished reading.
Yeah.
I've got a few lines to go. Like I took it all in.
Yeah.
Was
was
the music
rad.
on?
Oh,
music.
that would have been so good. That
3, 2, 1, go.
makes-
21,
that makes
15, 9.
the experience- That makes the experience. That music is unbelievable.
Oh,
No,
best
it was
music of all time.
it was pretty sick. But anyway, so you got any riddles for us, Tommy? Or anything
Oh,
good today?
I reckon I've got a riddle. What have I got? Here we go. Oh, yeah? Shit it. Okay, this is all right. See how you go. Mary's father has 5 daughters. Nana, Nene, Nini, Nono, and what is the 5th daughter's name?
What are the first 4?
Okay, so Mary's father has 5 daughters. Nana, Nini, Nini, Nono, and what is the 5th name?
Mary.
Nana, Nene.
Mary.
Yeah,
Yes. I'm less concerned about that. I just want to know what those names were again.
Nana, Nini, Nini, Nono.
This is obviously a made-up story as well, Khan, just so you know.
yeah. Hashtag Nini. Hashtag Nini.
Nene and Nono looking to sponsor an
sponsored
athlete.
by
Yeah,
Nana.
that's right. All right. Well, I should have some other
Yeah,
ones.
that
here.
was a very simple riddle.
Shocker, wasn't it? All right. Oh, this is one that stumped you. See, are you a riddle man at all, Carl?
I love riddles, but I'm not great at them.
Okay.
My best mate, shout out to my best mate, he now lives in New York.
Hashtag best mate.
Hashtag Byron Craft. He, one time, we were at shopping centre together because that's what best mates do. And he like fucking ran off. I went in the bathroom and he disappeared and just kept telling me riddles to try and find him. And I get like these periods of time. He'd tell me this riddle and I'd be like, fuck, where is he? And I'd try and find him and I couldn't find. Oh, it was that good. But then, and all
Yeah, I
ended
got
up being.
work at 4. Can you stop?
Well, it ended up being like he was sitting in his car for like the last 4 riddles, and he's like, I just wanted to fuck with you and make you different places. But so I'm not good at riddles.
All right.
but
Well,
I like them.
all right. Who makes it has no need of it. Who buys it has no use for it. Who uses it can neither see nor feel it. What is it?
Oh, so I kind of need to see this in front of my face to
Yeah,
look
it's
at because
tough.
you
All right.
said that and I don't remember.
Have a read of this one. So, who makes it has no need of it. Who buys it has no use for it. Who uses it can neither see nor feel it. What is it? I read this one out recently, didn't I?
Yeah.
Did you get it?
No, I don't think I did.
Yeah. It's bloody
And I
tough.
don't actually remember what it is.
Should we
No, so I got fucking no idea.
Yeah, it's a coffin. How good?
That's right.
How good?
That is good. See, I would go like, see, for me, I'm going like deep spiritual, like
Yeah.
something like virtue. But
Everyone always goes, God, who buys it has no need of it. You're right though. I think I'm all done with the riddles.
Should we hit 6 for 6 up?
Yeah, I think we should.
So, Khan, we normally finish up with 6 questions, 3 from me, 3 from Tommy. Mine are pretty travel related, and feel free to go off on any tangents because I know you said you're a very, very passionate man about travelling, as am I, as is Tommy. So, my first question, which is pretty broad. So, your favourite destination you've ever been at can be a small town, can be a city, can be a country, can be anywhere.
I love New York City. I'd say New York's kind of like my home away from home. Both my coach is based over there, and my best mate, the one we just talked about, shout out again to the best mate, lives over there now. So I've spent like a lot of time there. I really love New York. Like I just really love the city.
Yep.
But also I've been through Central America, and I really enjoyed that as well. But I guess New York. I'm just a huge fan of New York City.
Where's your? I've been through Central and South America a couple of times. Where have you been in Central America? Sorry, where's
in
your
parts of Mexico, then Guatemala and Belize.
sick? Did you get to Key Corker in Belize?
Yep.
How
Sick,
good is that
hey?
joint?
So good.
We actually got to Key Corker in Belize. It was the strangest happening. So we went to Isla Mujeres in Mexico.
Yeah.
And sick little island. And this is like my 3rd day backpacking. And I just was drunk playing pool with a couple of guys and ended up being a German guy and a German girl. And this crazy Canadian dude came up to us and asked if we wanted to sail with him to Belize the next day. And we were drunk.
Fucking great.
Yeah, we were drunk as fuck. We're like, yeah, man, we'll go with you.
Yeah.
This sounds like a great adventure. Anyway,
Sounds like the start of like some sort of Mexican version of the beach where you like met this German couple.
Well, this is
and then,
nearly
like,
what
you
happened,
fell in
man.
love with the
This is
German
nearly what
girl.
happened. So anyway, so the guy rocks up the next day, and I was in my hammock. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? He looks really familiar. Anyway, long story short, he's come up. Hey, you guys still want to sail with us today? I'm like, fuck. Anyway, the other two were in. Whatever. We sailed from Mexico to Belize, and during the sailing trip. There's about fucking 10 stories that I'm telling in one story right now. But have I told this on the podcast before?
No, not on the podcast before. You told me though.
Yeah. So what happened was I ended up taking the reins of this catamaran and sailing through the Caribbean Sea for fucking like 12 hours through a storm. Got it from 2 knots an hour to 18 knots an hour. Nearly had to bring the mast down, like bombing along the Caribbean Sea. And when we got to Key Corker, we landed, we docked and we got off the boat and we were going to meet Guy in the sports bar for a beer in like a couple hours' time. We got off the wharf, we got our Lonely Planet open, we're trying to find somewhere to stay, and there's an American guy at the end of the wharf and he goes, he basically said, hey guys, you want to buy all your food and water tonight for the next couple of days because all the shops are going to be closed. And I looked at him and I said, what the fuck are you talking about, man? He goes, you don't know? Hurricane Matthew's coming up the Caribbean coast. So we had to batten down the hatches there was no one there in Key Corker. So we bought first things first, we bought about 5 bottles of rum. Second thing, we bought a few bags of Coke. And then we locked ourselves in our hostel room. We found 3 other travellers, so there was 6 of us. And we had like a 3-day lock-in party while this fucking torrential storm thundered down. And all we did was just sung arm in arm like Red Hot Chili Peppers for hours on end. And it was and
when you woke up, there were dinosaurs roaming the island.
It was rad.
This is my dream come true.
Yeah, so Key Corker's sick. But so my next travel question is your favourite, your dream destination. So it can be anywhere again.
I've never been to Europe, so Europe.
Yep.
Really, really, really want to go. And it's hard with the travel schedule that CrossFit kind of, this huge chunk of my year every year goes to being in the States, I love the States, as I said. But yeah, I really want to get to Europe. Really want to get to Europe.
Anywhere in particular?
All of it.
Yeah.
Oh man, like Spain. It's all of it, man. Like
cool.
Seriously, I want to do like all the like those kind of like textbook. I want to go and see the Eiffel Tower and be in France and Paris and Spain.
Paris is lame,
Then
man.
I also want to do like
Paris is
Scandinavia, and then I want to
Yeah.
do just like
Iceland.
Spain's worth
Eastern
that.
Europe as well.
Spain, 100%.
Yeah, I've heard
Prague's
such
sick.
sick thing about Spain,
Yeah.
and I think that just like it would be my type of city to visit.
Yeah, 100%. So next question is, if you were stuck on a desert island, you've got 3 things to keep you sane. So you've got food and water and a toothbrush and all that shit.
Well, so isn't this exactly what you said? It was rum, Coke, and some other travel.
We know what he likes.
That's right. That's right. Happy days.
I mean, it's not a bad time on an island. Let's be honest here.
Well, that can be your answer if you like.
No, it's okay. I think I'll go something to pen my thoughts.
Yep.
So whether that's like I hope it's not pen and paper, something to type my thoughts out on.
Yeah.
But doesn't have to be functioning in any other way, shape, or form.
Yep.
A member of the opposite sex. And pardon?
Human or?
Well, preferably.
Good.
Depends how long I'm
try
stuck on the
anything
island
once.
for. Yeah, but no. And something to take pictures with. I really like taking photos.
Yeah,
Something
cool.
to take pictures with, something to write on, and a chick.
Cool.
Easy.
That's a good combo.
Alrighty. Did you have a role model growing up? Have a role model growing up?
Yeah, to be completely cliche, my dad probably. Like, I idolized my dad in a lot of ways. He was just, when you're a kid and you just think your dad's just the best at everything. Like, he played all these sports and all this sort of stuff, and he just had this really kind of positive and, deep. My parents, I'm very blessed that both my parents are very creative people and very kind of like loved me and my brothers a lot, and were very open with that. We had a very kind of like, you were encouraged to speak about your feelings and all this sort of stuff. And so I think that it's shaped me to a huge extent today, is having like my father, who I did see as this kind of like, figure of masculinity, was also like in touch, we were brought up to, if for birthdays and stuff like that, it was just as good to write mum and dad a poem or something like that as it was to buy them a present. So we had this beautiful relationship with both my parents. I guess you can call both my parents my role models. And this beautiful relationship with both my parents that's really, I think, particularly through some of the difficult times that I've been through mentally and stuff like that, has really given me beautiful perspective on the world and like a beautiful kind of outlook on a lot of different things, and just incredibly caring and compassionate people that, I aspire to, if I can be as good a parent to my kids as they were to me, I think I'll have done, a brilliant job in life. So
Excellent.
It sounds cliche, but I guess both my parents.
Well, it's not cliche. We get, I reckon, 1 in 3.
Yeah,
people-
probably more so.
Probably more so
Probably
than-
more so. And that's probably
Same
because
number.
we interview successful, good people,
Yeah, that's right.
with a good head on their shoulders, and
Absolutely.
that's normally comes from the top,
Yeah,
So
definitely.
Completely.
Okay. Favourite thing to do when you got some downtime? What do you like to do?
it's going to be the same again.
Yeah.
It's going to be cocaine, rum,
Yeah.
chicks,
Rum, coke and chicks.
Friday, and fucking
All right. That doesn't include the three aforementioned.
So, your fourth favourite thing to do, basically.
I don't do it as much anymore. I do like to write when I feel good. I like to read. As I said, there's sort of 3 things I've been trying to add back into my daily ritual to, I guess, keep that mental enrichment going, and that's reading, listening to podcasts, and writing. And it can be something as simple as like a haiku, or like sometimes it's honestly, I'll just be driving and I'll have this like beautiful phrase will come into my head, and I'm like, fuck, I have to write that down because that's a really cool. And it can be to do with nothing. It can be to do with like someone, like some of them are just so abstract, or it can be like, often there's a kind of prevailing sort of sensual nature to a lot of these things. And that can just be this beautiful phrase that describes some sort of incredible sensual encounter. And I just have to write it down. And that's, something that I kind of love to do in my spare time. But also, I don't know, like I love just chilling, like movies, I guess. It'd be like something really kind of basic.
Yeah,
chill,
for sure.
Definitely.
normal. I love going to the movies.
Excellent. Alrighty. And the final one is, if you can invite 3 people to dinner, dead or alive, who would they be and why? And your family's already there. All your close people are already
I was
there.
just saying, because like there's like one of my mates that I kind of thought about this question.
Yeah.
It's like I'll get like 2 really like the president and someone, or like and then I'd get one of my buddies particularly to just be like there and just listen to what he had to ask them.
Yeah.
That's a really hard question.
It is tough.
I think like you could go down the path of very invite 3 supermodels and just have a beautiful dinner to observe, but
that would be a good dinner.
that would be a good dinner, let's not lie. But at the same time,
A dinner filled with cocaine and rum.
and that's all that's served on plates as well.
Hashtag
Rum and cocaine. This is the great. What are we doing with our lives? Let's get 3 supermodels on the blower, some rum, some coke, and then play the Jurassic Park movie. What a great afternoon ahead
I feel
of
like
us.
you could hook that up. We couldn't hook that
I
up.
feel like all we talked about is cocaine,
And Jurassic Park.
And Jurassic Park. An interesting combo. Let's imagine if the entire film, Jurassic Park, the guys were wired as on cocaine. That would make the movie.
and
Everyone, it would be
imagine if the
terrible.
guys were all naked women.
Supermodels.
This is the greatest film of all time. I mean, you don't have to find far to find. You don't have to look far in the eastern suburbs, particularly, to find supermodels and cocaine in the same place in Sydney. But 3 people, living or dead. I went down a couple of different avenues. There's people that I would love that are alive to sit down and have a conversation. I love Joe Rogan, Russell Brand, especially after just listening to that podcast. They'd be great to have to dinner. And then, maybe someone like even Sam Harris or like Graham Hancock, who's been.
I'm reading Graham Hancock's. I'm reading Supernatural.
You've
at
dropped the
moment.
name.
Phenomenal. That's like my
Where is
goal after the games is find somewhere where I can go and do an ayahuasca journey.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
Am I allowed to say that on national?
Absolutely.
I'm going into
A lot
this
of
year.
the time.
Oh, you've got it. Fuck,
Yeah,
that's
it's
awesome.
sick,
in
man.
the bag.
I'm only just
Holy
getting into
I
it.
have to take a photo and send this to my mate Ricky. He'll
I
be
think we speak about
frothing.
Graham Hancock every
Yeah.
episode, don't we?
So
Yeah.
to all the listeners that can't see what we're actually doing here, I've just pulled out a book called Supernatural, which is by Graham Hancock, and it's all about the state of consciousness and how it arose in mankind and stuff. I can't really go too far into it because I'm only up to
Give the brief description.
Well, basically, all I'm up to at the moment is studying the very, very ancient cave paintings, the first art that man came up with, and that was like 15,000 years ago in Europe, places of Europe and Africa. So that's basically where I'm up to at the moment.
So yeah, like his unconventional theory is basically that the consciousness in humans came from eating psychedelic shrooms.
Yeah.
For
I mean, have
DMT
you heard him
properties.
talk about
Yeah, man.
religion?
Oh, yeah.
Me and Tommy
bro,
are
it's
addicted to him, man.
mind-boggling.
We are
It's
addicted to him.
fucking
Yeah.
mental.
Who
Yeah.
needs porn when you have Graham Hancock?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is
I think
fuck
he's-
hookers, blow and rum, not literally off,
Yeah.
and let's just get around Graham Hancock
I think
for a
he's
moment here.
your number one guest, and
100%.
my number one guest is Randall Carlson. Have you listened to the Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock,
Joe
Joe Rogan?
Oh, started to it. I haven't got all the way through that
It's
one.
the
So I want to go back
most
to the one of just Graham
mind-blowing
Hancock.
thing
It is
I've ever listened to. in my
fucking
whole
amazing.
life.
Randall
Actually, do you know who
Carlson's
else is
above
awesome?
Graham Hancock for me.
I thought I would probably invite if it was when those 3, but I don't think they would be my 3. It'd be like Louis Theroux. He's also interesting.
Yeah, Louis Theroux's
Yeah.
sick.
However, I think I'm going to go down the path of going like, I'm going to get the President of the United States. They have to answer all your questions, right?
Yeah, yeah.
President of the
Yep. Oh, that's
United
good.
States. That guy would know some shit.
Fuck yeah.
You want to
Yeah.
I want to pick his mind.
I agree.
Jesus Christ. Because
Yep.
apparently he was like a legitimate figure.
Yeah,
I want to
yeah.
be like,
He was
come
a
on, buddy.
legitimate dude.
I mean, I'm not a religious guy by any means, but come on, let's be honest here. Walked on the water. Did you do it? Tell me. You have to tell the truth. This is
right.
a truth-telling dinner
Little
party.
bit of mayo on that one.
Come on. Or were they all on mushrooms? You drugged that water you turned into wine.
That's right.
It's ayahuasca.
Yeah.
And you've got them. I'm onto you.
Jesus.
And then probably like, he's a figurehead of so many different religious things. The third person, maybe Buddha? And then I'd let them duke it out at the end of this kind of like, well, Buddha would probably not duke it out at all. He'd be interesting. But just to think like, these are 3 incredibly influential people that have huge followings. And I guess Buddhism is probably the religion that I have the most interest in, which is hence why Buddha. Because I think that like that kind of Christianity, Catholicism, whatever is
fear-mongering, man.
It was, yeah. I have my own personal opinions on that. They are just that, but I'm still fascinated by the fact that it does captivate such a vast majority of the Western world.
Yeah.
So I would be really interested to sit down with Jesus and go, "Did you expect this to happen?"
Yeah.
we just kind of like.
You really blew up, man. You
Yeah.
went viral. You went
George
viral
Hughes,
before-
you're like one of those
before
guys
viral.
that got bigger when he died, though.
Stop
Like, it
watching
kind of
Jurassic
sucks
Park.
for you, but
Help us out.
yeah, like you could probably. I mean, if you want hookers and
I'll help you out.
yeah,
Have you seen my social media following?
But he's like, them, and then the United States of America, because the president, because I'd be like, oh, fuck, you know things that we don't fucking know. I've
Area
seen
51.
Zeitgeist, I fucking know.
Yeah.
I've got theories.
You've seen Zeitgeist, haven't you?
Yeah, I've seen that, guys.
How good's that?
Oh, mate, yeah,
How
it's
good is that?
unbelievable.
Mind-blowing.
A few-
the first
few
20
questions.
minutes.
Yeah,
Religion
you just sit
goes
there
bang,
going
bang, bang,
like,
bang, bang.
so that's what I get. That'd be my 3. And
Excellent.
then as long as I can have my mates there as well to rib into them with questions too. And they've got to be okay with us taking the piss out of them as
Yeah,
well.
that's right,
They gotta
yeah.
have a bit of a joke with the boys.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah,
I'd have a laugh.
it's your
They can
dinner.
take the piss
You're
out of
running the
me.
dinner,
Fuck,
mate.
they do whatever they want.
I
It's
know
gonna be
a
great.
lot about America.
I feel like Obama would be down. They'd be cool.
He'd be
Yeah,
cool.
Barmer would be a great dinner guest.
He'd be good, wouldn't he?
He's a good man. Is that all your questions? That's
That was all my
your 3?
questions. I reckon
Beautiful.
we should ask Mr. Porter if there is anything you would like to plug, my friend.
No, I think we got all of them in there. Actually, yeah, no, I will give a shout out to my sponsors, Alpha Fit and Blue Dinosaur Bars, purely because I do genuinely like both those brands. They are Aussie boys, not just boys, but Aussie brands. And they've kind of backed me for quite some time now. And I do really love having, I think, particularly with having started to tap into the mainstream with some of my other like affiliations and endorsements and things like that. It's really cool to have these grassroots Aussie companies that I'm still on board with, and I do really appreciate the thing with them. I'm also with Nike as well. They're great too, but like I really, Nike's Nike. Fuck, they've got heaps.
They don't even need your help.
Yeah, they really don't need my help. They have heaps cooler people than me that work with them.
Thanks, Ken Potter.
Yeah, Ken Potter. Oh, Kenny Potter. Now there's a bloke you want to meet. Shout out to Kenny Potter as well. That's my alter ego when I'm having a good time.
Right.
Kenny Potter.
Kenny Potter's a
Kenny
good fella.
Potter.
Good fella to get around.
We're going to meet him for a beer.
Oh, fuck. 1 beer will turn into 26. But yeah, that's it. No, that's all
Excellent.
good.
And where can they find you, Khan? So for,
I'm probably not going to give out my address. I've had some interesting people contact me over the years.
Let's go your online address.
I've got my website is www.iamkhanporter.com.
And your program, man.
Yeah,
Plug your
it's on
program.
the same website. Yeah. It's all there. My Instagram is @IamKhanPorter. I own CrossFit Play in Sydney. So you can check out www.crossfitplay.com.au as well, .com I think. And yeah, that's kind of the only places that I would appreciate random strangers looking for me, if that's okay.
Beautiful.
Cool.
Well, that was awesome, man. I reckon next time we get you on the show, we'll talk about unconventional science theories and shit.
Oh, can we? Can we get someone that actually knows heaps more than us as well?
I know.
Let's get this guy on the show and this guy on the show.
Sit
let's
there.
make that dinner table. Let's make
I'll
the
sit
dinner party.
here.
We'll record it.
Dinner. We'll set
make
up.
the dinner table.
Get them and then like a couple of our
Bring your
mates as
chips.
well.
But this guy and
We'll
this
bring
guy
the mission
again. The
chips.
listeners are hating it. This guy and this guy. That would be Graham Hancock and Christopher Ryan.
By this point in time, Stone and Wood will be like well on board. They'll
They just
provide
want to-
alcoholic beverages for everyone for the evening. #Stone and Wood. No, that'd be awesome.
Blue Dinosaur Paleo Bars for all as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Alrighty. Sweet. Thanks, Khan. And that's a wrap.
Thanks, guys.
Alrighty, guys. So that was part 2 with Khan Porter. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Pretty wild conversation. Pretty deep conversation through parts. I had a really good time. Tommy had a really good time. We got a new friend in Khan Porter, and I hope you guys feel like you do too. So subscribe to our show, please, guys, because we want to get bigger guests. We want to bring you guys awesome interviews, and the way that we're going to be able to do that is if you guys subscribe, tell your friends. We'll get more listeners. We can obviously get sponsors, and we can bring you some really cool stuff. Also, if you found anything in that podcast really interesting and you want to look into it further, then head to our show notes. They'll be found at www.adventurefittravel.com/podcast. All the links for everything we spoke about in the show are all there. While you're there, there's plenty of places on adventurefittravel.com to join our mailing list. It's all over the site. If you join our mailing list, you'll get all the show notes. You'll get all the promotions from Adventure Fit Travel. You get all our trip announcements. You'll get everything and anything coming your way from ADVF.
Excellent.
So before we go, check out audibletrial.com/ADVF radio for your free audio book and 30-day trial. And check out Everest Base Camp Trek this year at www.adventurefittravel.com. That's it. That's a wrap.
Discovery Roger, go for deploy.